So in the last draft, I had mentioned that I used an alternative to Wisdom's Echo because I had Glennis on my team. And I'm showing here in this video what that alternative was. So I'm in Mokado Castle in the Phoenix section. I'm showing here on the map. And you access this area from Jhana's Quest, or in the second half, if you skipped Jhana's Quest, you can get the key from the Arrogant Silver Falcon. But I'm showing right off the bat that as a secondary spawn in this area, I want the Jhana Magus. That's what these are here. Now I'm just going to run around and aggro them. Primary spawn is these pests and the Jhana Shaman, so they're always going to be here. But other secondary spawn options that I don't really want to deal with are a couple of rares, the Eye of Damnation and the Prowler. Hypnos, they can hit kind of hard. Wild Raptors, they can be kind of bulky, and they can also hit halfway decent. But what I'm showing here is kind of all the areas I can go to round up either the Jhana Shaman or the Magus and a couple extra pests. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but if you're on the remaster like I am, you can sprint, and these things really shouldn't catch you. It gets a little dicey at times, but it's not too terrible. So I'm kind of heading back towards the beginning of the area. This is actually a slight mistake on my part. I didn't want to go this far. There's a wider open area that I'm about to double back to. And I'm just going to kind of run around that area until all these enemies catch up. In fact, once I get there, I'm going to throw a save, and then I'm going to reload, immediately reload the save. That's what I'm going to do right here. The reason is, on the remaster, you may have seen this in Wisdom's Echo, where the enemies just kind of sit there frozen. It takes a while for them to wake up. A similar thing can happen here. Well, if you load your save, that delay that they will experience doesn't happen. They'll begin chasing you from wherever you had aggroed them. So I'm loading the save just to kind of facilitate that, and then I'm just going to run circles in the room to let all the enemies catch up to me. Now again, I picked this room because it's kind of one of the wider rooms. It's not too challenging to avoid the enemies here. And once I see most of the enemies are in the room, I'm mostly looking at the map to determine that. I'm going to move on to the next area, aggro a few more, and eventually I'll end up in the room where the Tarnished Earring is found. It also has the treasure chest with the rose thorn. It's the very end of the area, and it's a much wider open room as well. So once I get there, though, I've got to wait for all of these aggroed enemies to catch up. So it ends up being where I run around the room for quite a while, and I'm really not looking at the enemies within the room. I'm looking at the orange dots on the map to see if they've all kind of made their way there, and you'll see that here shortly.
Let's do this! Let's do this! Let's do this!
Alright, so this is the room. By this point I believe I've aggroed just about everything in the zone. There's a chance I missed one or two, but still they're all going to take their sweet time to come find me in this area. So I'm going to save again. I'm going to load the save for two reasons. One, in case I accidentally bump into an enemy, but also to unfreeze any of the ladder aggroed enemies. So what I'll do now is just run circles around this room. It takes quite a while for all of the enemies from the other area to reach this room, but they will. So as with each lap, I kind of duck in close to the entrance of this room, but I can see if there's any more orange dots funneled into the room. So it's going to take a couple of minutes here to do that, but once they're all in the room, I'm going to go ahead and tag all of them, start a fight, and then I will not record the fight itself. I'll skip to the end when we're at basically the last round of the fight.
Let's do this.
So we're at the tail end of the fight here. Just, I think 2 more rounds left to go to wipe everything out. And these enemies are not too terrible, but this is not an area that you can jump into at a very low BR with introductory stats, we'll say. If you have the weakest units in the game, and I have quite a few in this particular lineup, they're not going to be able to handle this right off the bat. So we ended up doing, I want to say it was 700 or 800 landworms in Wisdom's Echo just to get some stats to wrap up the first half of the game. We're here in the second half, you can tell by Arena's presence. And a lot of the second half units, I think there was 5 altogether, they are fresh off the bench, so it's survivable, but it's not something I would say you could handle immediately in the first half, at least on a fresh file. If it was New Game Plus and you had some good gear, so be it. Now you can see here quite a bit of drops and quite a bit of captured enemies, and so it's one advantage it has over Wisdom's Echo is the captured enemy aspect of it. If this was a fresh file and money's tight, these are not too bad to sell. So after the fight here, though, I'm going to show what you do to respawn. So you've got a couple options. You can wait near the edge of the zone, so be it in that room or all the way back at the entrance. A lot of single area maps. You can just wait near the edge of the map for 3 to 6 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood, depends on what enemies you're fighting. And they'll respawn. Rares do not respawn, at least most of them do not. There are a couple of rare exceptions. But another option is to move 2 zones away, and that's what I'm going to do here. It ends up being faster. So I'll go back to the middle area of Mokado Castle, and I'll move into another area that's unlocked by using the key. Immediately turn around, move 2 zones back, and we'll end this segment, me showing the Jhana Magus that were there at the beginning have respawned. Now I was going to stop there, but this is an opportunity to include another video, or at least another topic in this video that fits well either with the Wisdom's Echo grind or in this case the pseudo one that I'm demonstrating here. And the topic that I want to cover at the end here is training Refresh to level 2 or Antivenin to the point where you unlock Eye Cream. I get that question a decent amount as to what is an efficient way to do it, and I would say using these enemies, the vicious plants, as a tool for that can be super helpful. So what I'm doing for the setup, though, I showed right off the bat, is I'm leading the Union with a unit in a class that has the Defender ability. In this case, it's a monk. It's just Sotheby, a soldier you can just get for free in Athlum. And I'm also setting up a revive unit. So similar to like what I would do with Godwoods, you lead the healing Union with someone in a class with medic. Here we've got Kimberly, who's a healer, has the medic trait for that class, and then whoever I want to work on either refresh or anti-venom with. In this case, I'll just grab Rush. Now, when I threw together the Union with Sotheby as the lead, I only put 3 units in that Union. The purpose is when you choose the Defend or BR Shield command, which I don't get on the first turn, but I will get eventually. When you choose that command, the first 3 units will defend. They will not attack, and that's the whole idea, is you want the enemy to poison you. You don't really want to kill them before you get a few uses of either refresh or anti-venom off. So you'll see here, we stood by for the first turn, engaged with BR Shield. We're not going to hurt the enemies at this point, and Rush is just going to reassess to anti-venom. And this fight goes on for a couple minutes here where I just kind of show over and over, and it's not that hard to grind out refresh or anti-venom. Again, anti-venom to unlock Eye Cream, which is a great Union-wide heal art, and then refresh at least to refresh 2. It's a requirement if you want to learn Revitalize, that you learn every art of the previous tier, and at least one of those arts needs to be 2. So in this case, refresh to me is easier to grind out than rejuvenate.
I feel stronger than before!